Well, today was meant to be a day of celebrations for those who backed Brexit, but instead they're staging marches across London, calling on MPs to finally make it happen. Well, our correspondent Tig Enright is with demonstrators on the so-called Brexit Betrayal March as heading to Westminster. Tig, what's the mood like where you are?
Hello to you, Tokes. I would say there's a mood of jubilation to a degree. I think everyone's happy to be out here and making their voice heard, but equally frustration with what's happening. Just, a further 20 minutes walk up the road as parliamentarians get ready to vote for a third time on the withdrawal agreement. This, as you mentioned, is the last leg, the final day of a march that began up in Sunderland on March the 16th. They've been on a journey of around 430 kilometres since then. A core group of around 50 marchers making that entire journey, and various other demonstrators joining the march as it goes along. And of course, contrast where we are now with where we are when this march began. Back then, on March 16th, we still thought that today would be the day that Britain left the EU. That's not happening today. It might happen in 2 weeks' time or perhaps in 5 weeks' time. It's all up to play for. Let me bring in the thoughts here of some of the demonstrators. Mick and Esther have been kind enough to share their thoughts with us. Mick, what message are you trying to send today?
Just that we need freedom from the EU. I'm not doing this for me because I'm retired. I'm doing this for my children and my children's children.
But we are, it does feel, as it stands, still on the way out. Nothing has thrown us off course just yet, even if things are running a little bit late. Esther, I want to get your thoughts about what MPs are going to be voting on later today. The third time Theresa May's withdrawal agreement will go to a vote again. What way would you like them to vote?
Well, part of me just thinks get out and worry about it later. But then the other part is that I think being trapped in the backstop is really unfortunate and not something we should have done. I don't think the whole House should have triggered Article 50 before they knew what they were going to do. And I just think their negotiating approach has always been to thwart Brexit. I don't feel like the Parliament are on Brexit, want to leave.
I'm sure everyone can agree that leaving the EU is a big deal. And Mick, do you think is it right to take the right amount of time to get it right and to get a good deal in place?
Well, no, because we don't want to deal with Europe. We all wanted to get out and then trade with the whole world, including Europe.
And what do you think about the people who say that simply leaving with no deal would be a bad situation? People talking about chaos at the ports and things like that. Does any of that talk worry you at all?
That's complete rubbish. At the end of the day, we want to be out and we want to be dealing with the whole world and the EU as well. They send more goods over to us than we send over to them. So really, we've got the best hand,
Esther?
Well, apparently we've got the best civil service, one of the best democracies, one of the most educated people in the world. We're the 5th biggest country. We've had 3 years and we couldn't negotiate to get out of the EU. The EU have rung rings around our team.
Is that not because the EU is still much bigger, much more powerful economically?
There's an element of that, and I think there's a lack of will from the basic establishment and civil servants. They don't really want to go. Parliament is hugely in majority of Remainers, so there's no will. It's so disappointing.
Esther and Mick, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your thoughts with us today. I'm just doing my job, madam.
So am I, from County Cork.
Very good, very good. You're live on Euronews. Thank you for that. So as you can see, the march is getting going again. We think they have about another 20 minutes or so before they get to Parliament. That's where Nigel Farage, the former UKIP leader, is going to be taking part in a rally. He was criticised for not actually joining this, spending more time on this march, having organised it, but he'll be there for the finish, after which point MPs will have voted for a third time on Theresa May's deal.